Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here with Gents. Hope that you guys are doing well. It's time for another viewer choice video, which means the box of mystery. So in case you don't know how this works, there's a post on the community tab of my YouTube channel. You guys give me your suggestions for a video. My wife picks some out. She chops them up, puts them in here. I pick one out and then do the video. And I'm gonna make a new post on the community tab. The old one has kind of gotten buried underneath a bunch of other posts. So look for that soon. If not already, it might already be up there. But jump on there, leave your suggestion for a list or a video or whatever, and maybe I'll get to do it. So it is time to pick one out and then we will do it. So let's see what we got. This one is from Mezi Kirschblum. If I screwed your name up, I'm sorry. Kirschblum. Rainy day fragrances. That happens too much during the spring and summer where it's too gloomy and rainy outside to pull out your traditional bright, warm weather freshie. And I sit there pondering what to wear on this depressing looking day. All right, so some rainy day fragrances. You know, at first blush, that sounds way easier than it actually is. Okay, I'm gonna go gather up some fragrances that I think fit the bill. Let's jump into it. All right, I'm back. Rainy daytime. Now, the first fragrance that pops into my mind when you say rainy day scents is discontinued, so it won't be an official choice in this video, but it's this one, Narciso Rodriguez for him. A lot of people have likened the smell of this fragrance to the smell of asphalt after a rain or during one. Violet is going to be one of the main players in this fragrance, and like I said, unfortunately it's discontinued, so not an official choice. And then the second fragrance that popped into my mind is also discontinued, Aqua Fahrenheit. That would have been my other choice. Actually, a few choices that I would have made, like Kenzo Air, also all discontinued. So cool. But that adds to the gloomy and depressing nature of the video, doesn't it? If the fragrances that I would choose are all friggin' discontinued. Anyway, the first official choice is going to be Amouage Portrayal Man, because this does have a similarity to Narciso Rodriguez for him and also to Fahrenheit. And that's because violet leaves are one of the main players in this scent. And it also has a super cool bottle. Does that count for anything? Probably not, but it's cool. 2 thumbs up for that, if nothing else. It's an aromatic fragrance that does carry over a little bit of that petrol vibe. Again, tying it in a little bit with Dior Fahrenheit, but not as heavy-handed as you'll find in the Dior. It's a great fragrance that gets overlooked, which, you know, it happens with the Amouage. They have so many heavy hitters, it's hard to pay attention to all of them. But Portrayal is gonna be my first choice. And I'm gonna hit you guys with those quick codes. Gents10, save yourself 10% off the entire website of twistedlily.com. Big time niche retailer. And then Gents8, $8 off any order over 110 at Joma Shop, which is a fragrance discounter. Next fragrance is from Prada, and it is Amber Pour Homme. I thought about going with Amber Intense, but that one leans more fall winter. You said specifically spring summer, so I'm trying to keep most of these to where they could be usable on a cooler day where it's raining during spring or summer. So this one is gonna have a bit of that Prada soapiness that you've come to expect with Prada fragrances, but it has a little more depth to it because it has some resins in here and more spices than you might find in some of the other Prada releases that have a soapy flair to them. So even though it's a fragrance that most people would say, oh yeah, that's clean and pretty easy to wear, there's a good amount of depth going on here, decent amount of complexity to keep you interested, keep you coming back. So this one I think is a nice change of pace. You know, it's clean enough, easy enough that you could pull this off in the office, but it also has a little more going on underneath the hood. Next up, after that, Cavalli Uomo Cheapy, a really nice cheapy, and I'm going back to violet again because I think that works pretty well in gloomy, rainy situations. Now this one is a little bit powdery with the violet. It also has some sweetness there, some warmth coming from honey and tonka. I could have gone with Silver Essence or Deep Desire, which are 2 of the flankers to this fragrance, but I think Silver Essence leans fresher And then Deep Desire leans more toward evening, date night kind of uses. So I think in a rainy day type situation, a gloomy type situation, this one probably would work better than the other two. This costs around $25 at discounters right now, which is an insane deal because the quality here is fantastic. The presentation is very nice as well. I think the Cavalli Uomo line is criminally underrated. Now the next one just jumped right out at me when I was going through trying to quickly grab some fragrances that would make sense for the video here, so I had to include it. It's Pi Air. I have not talked about this fragrance in a long time, really too long. It's a flanker that basically just came out and left with a whimper, and nobody really talked very much about it, didn't really get any hype. It just was and then wasn't, it felt like. Now I say was and then wasn't, but it's not discontinued or anything. You can still find it at Macy's. You can find it sometimes at discounters. What I mean by that is nobody really talked about it. This reminds me a bit of Pi Fraiche, which is a discontinued flanker to the original Pi. And this does have a bit of that Pi DNA to it. It's got that resinous warmth underneath a bed of florals. Now, when I say florals, don't think something like Toy Boy. Actually think something closer to, I guess, Prada Amber. It doesn't smell like Prada Amber, but the overarching idea is maybe similar. After that, we're gonna go with Dior Homme 2020. Now this is just an easy wear fragrance, fresh, warm, woodsy, masculine, classy. Maybe you would think of going with Dior Homme, the original, or Valentino Uomo Intense or something like that, you know, go more toward that irisy side of things. But I think having something like this would be a nice choice because you can wear it anywhere. The versatility, the compliment factor, both through the roof here. This is one of the fragrances that has grown on me the most ever because I hated this, despised this when it first came out, when I first got it in. And then over the last couple years, I've grown to really love it. So Dior Homme 2020, I think, is a really nice choice. I think that woodiness, that bit of spice in there would meld well on a rainy day. Now something a little bit different, Creed Himalaya. Now this is very musky, very musky. It's got a bit of a metallic tinge to it, and it's one of my favorite creeds. I feel like it's one of the most underrated creeds. Now, a lot of people would not agree with me there. A lot of people would say Arolfa is the most underrated or Bois du Portugal is the most underrated. And I think those are both solid scents as well. Very, very solid. But Himalaya for me has always been a daily driver type of scent. It's one that I don't mind at all wearing every day for a week straight, which I have done before. And this does smell a bit like Paco Rabanne's XS, which is way cheaper than this. So if you've ever smelled XS, but you haven't smelled Himalaya, you got a pretty good idea of how this comes across. It's also a bit citrusy off the top, and you've got some woodiness that melds together with the musk in here. I think overall the way the fragrance comes across would work quite well in springtime with a rainy day. Now this next one, I don't know if it would work fantastically for a rainy day, but it's one of the first ones I picked out to be in this video, so obviously something in my subconscious mind thought, yeah, that'd be a good choice. You would wear that. Gucci Pour Homme or Gucci by Gucci Pour Homme. Violet making an appearance once again, but it's not really the focal point here, unlike Portrayal Man or Cavalli Uomo. Instead, the main focal point here is going to be a very nice tobacco, kind of a slightly green tobacco and some cypress. You also have patchouli and leather in here, and when you hear that note breakdown, cypress, leather, patchouli, all this stuff, you may think, oh, that's probably going to be really heavy. You know, it's going to be overly dense, but it's not. It actually has a good amount of freshness to it, and it's very classy and masculine. It smells fantastic. Another fragrance that I think is overlooked a bit, I think this is much better than it gets credit for. Gucci by Gucci Pour Homme. I think that would work really well, especially during the springtime. Now this one I kind of just threw in here, if I'm honest. I think I got 12 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 12. But I thought this was an interesting choice, a little change of pace compared to some of the other ones here. It's Whispers in the Library from Replica from Maison Martin Margiela. So the fragrance description, which is right here on the bottle of Whispers in the Library, is paper and waxed wood. Because obviously if you're in a library, there's wood and like bookcases and seats and tables and whatnot, and there's paper because books, because library. But that's not exactly how it comes across. It doesn't really smell like a book. It is woody, so it's got that woodiness to it, but more so than that, it's vanillic. A lot of vanilla in here. Enough vanilla that you could compare it to something like Mercedes-Benz Club Black, which is a a great little frag-com hype beast in its own right. So with this one, we're looking at something a little bit sweeter than a lot of the other choices that I've made so far, and more comforting, I would say. After that, we're gonna hop on over to Encre Noire Sport from Lalique. So of course, the draw here is Vetiver, and this is not the last Vetiver-based scent that you're gonna see in this video here today, because I am a sucker for Vetiver in all shapes and forms. Now, the reason I went Encre Noire Sport instead of the original or All Extreme is because you said spring or summer. So we're still working within those parameters, at least a little bit. The reason I chose this one is because, as I said earlier, one of the first fragrances that popped into my head was Kenzo Air. More specifically, Kenzo Air Intense, which is discontinued and crazy expensive nowadays. It's not very close to Encre Noire, talking about Kenzo Air Intense, but it's close enough that it kind of led me to choose one from the line. So that's how we got here. And even though Encre Noire Sport does still have that bit of a dark, rooty Vetiver vibe to it, this one is lightened up a bit, giving an aquatic touch. So I think this would work really nicely during the spring or summer on a rainy day, as long as you don't mind Vetiver. If you do, yeah. After that, Nuit de Megeve from 8 & Bob. Guess what this has in it? Vetiver. It also has tobacco, tonka, and orris, along with a little splash of citrus off the top. It also has a little bit of a similarity to Vetiver Tonka from Hermes, and I think if you're looking for a very classy fragrance from 8 & Bob, this may be the best way to go. Now, some people might say 8 & Bob, the original, or one of the other offerings from the house, but this one really is outstanding. And in case you're unaware of 8 & Bob, never heard of it before, the whole story behind the brand is that the original 8 & Bob is the fragrance that JFK wore. Do I think that's real? No. But that's the story they're going with. But don't let that distract you from the fact that the fragrance house does have some nice scents at a pretty good price, considering what niche can sometimes go for. And then we're gonna go with Guerlain Vetiver after that. I'm just, Vetiver, it's coming for you. I promise the next fragrance doesn't have Vetiver. But right now we're gonna talk about this one for a second. The price of Guerlain Vetiver is fantastic at discounters, and the quality of the fragrance far outweighs the price you're gonna pay. The note breakdown in this fragrance is very busy. There's a lot going on. You've got tobacco in there, you have citrus, you even have a bit of carnation, which is a note that I love to see, because every time I see carnation in a note breakdown, it throws me back to those fragrances from the 80s. And with that said, I'll say that Guerlain Vetiver probably is going to appeal to people middle-aged or older. Much younger guys, I don't think will appreciate it quite so much. It's vaguely reminiscent of something like a Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver, though not quite as squeaky clean and fresh, and with a bit more depth. Once again, I think Vetiver works fantastically in a situation like this. Guerlain Vetiver is one of the best. Okay guys, you know how I said just a second ago that the last fragrance was not going to have Vetiver in it? You remember when I said that? Yeah, I lied. It's Timbuktu from L'artisan Parfumé. I'm sorry, I just didn't know what to say. You know, I hit you with 3 Vetiver fragrances in a row, and I knew there was another one coming. I didn't know what to do, but here we are, and we're gonna cross this bridge together. This one has incense, papyrus, Vetiver, like I said, mango, and a bit of myrrh in there as well. That little touch of exotic fruit in the opening leading you into a smoky, rich Vetiver scent. It smells amazing. Timbuktu is probably my favorite fragrance from this house. I actually have 2 bottles of the stuff, this one and a backup. Do I need a backup? No. Do I have it? Yes. The quality there is great, and it smells just as good today as when it came out in 2004, not 1904. So there we go. Timbuktu wrapping this list up, 12 fragrances that I think would work really well on a rainy day, and some discontinued ones that shouldn't have been discontinued. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for your support. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.